bless you for coming out, everybody. It's our first show back. First show of the new year. Exciting to have Gwyneth Paltrow here.
Oh, yeah.
Love Gwyneth. Love Gwyneth. You know, there was a very, very small moment in my life where I lived next door to Gwyneth Paltrow.
What happened?
In London.
Yeah.
When she was with Chris Martin, they lived in a very, very, very amazing big house. And I lived in a small house just here, next door. And periodically, I'd see Gwyneth Paltrow in the garden. And that's the end of the story. I've realised right now this isn't my best anecdote about anything, actually. But yeah.
Did you forge a friendship at all? Anything like that?
Does it sound like we did?
No.
I will say this. Gwyneth Paltrow just texted me. True story. I noticed as I put my phone on to charge in here. Should I read it?
Yes, please, James.
Oh, no, I can't.
Thank you, James.
Look, I'll read it and you can cut it out of the show because it feels like I might have made this up, but I didn't. I literally, as I put it in, it said, I'm so excited to be here. I loved Mammals, which is a TV show I'm in on Amazon Prime Video. It's on right now. It says, Brad and I watched it at the weekend. It's so good. That's the message. Like I say, it's almost as good as my anecdote about Gwyneth Paltrow. She's the founder of Goop. Do you think we should be setting up a lifestyle brand?
Yes.
Like, thank you, madam. The other side of this, what would we call it? What would it be?
We should call it Droop.
And we only sell erectile dysfunction pills.
That's right.
I think a lifestyle brand could work. Is there any men doing like famous men?
Brad Pitt has a skincare line.
He's got a skincare line.
Yeah.
Has he?
Yeah.
Is it just called Be Brad Pitt? And that's...
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that is a big part of Brad Pitt's skin being good.
Yeah.
Is that it's on Brad Pitt's face.
If Paul Giamatti had a skincare line, I'd sign up for that, because I'm like, OK, he's doing something. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
Also, I will say this. Paul Giamatti, phenomenal skin.
Great skin. But
I'd take Paul Giamatti's skin over Brad Pitt's.
Would
but
you
I'd
really?
want Brad Pitt's face.
OK.
To put that skin on.
You'd like to drape Paul Giamatti's skin over Brad Pitt's sort of facial structure.
And that's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that time. It's time for the news.
The news.
And this... what was that?
The news.
And this afternoon, President Biden travelled to Mexico City for a summit with his fellow North American leaders, Mexican President Obrador and Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. The meeting is traditionally known as the Three Amigos Summit. First item on the agenda was coming up with a cooler nickname for this summit. It's called the Three Amigos Summit because you just know Joe Biden is going to use the word amigo at least 3 times every minute. The leaders are going to discuss border security, immigration and trade policy. You know, like amigos. Moving on, at last, there is a new Speaker of the House. Republican Kevin McCarthy won the job in a dramatic 15th vote early on Saturday morning after a contentious 4 days and 14 failed ballots. This is what happens when you try to put someone named Kevin into a position of power. Things got a little crazy as voting continued late into Friday night. Republican Mike Rogers confronted Matt Gaetz after he refused to vote for McCarthy and had to be restrained by another lawmaker. Republicans resorting to violence on the House floor. What a perfect way to honour the 2-year anniversary of January 6th. You just know that Bravo executives were looking at this like, guys, I think we might have a new franchise. Meanwhile, Democrats had nothing to do but wait while the Republican majority figured things out. Here's California Representative Katie Porter on Friday reading a book on the House floor titled The Subtle Art of Not Giving a I kind of love it. I do love it. Because nothing says subtle like a bright orange book with a matching shirt. And in an effort to sway votes to back McCarthy, at one point, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene actually tried to pass her phone to a fellow Republican with what appeared to be Donald Trump's initials on the screen. Yeah, Yeah, that's how you calm down a chaotic situation. Get Donald Trump involved. The caller ID on the phone just says DT, and everyone's like, she's calling Trump. We don't know that's Trump. We don't know. She could easily just be calling Danny Trejo. We're gonna need some coffee and donuts. We're gonna be here a while. Moving on, did you see this? Yesterday, right-wing supporters of Brazil's former president ransacked the presidential palace, Congress, and Supreme Court, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. I wonder where they got that idea from. 1,200 protesters were arrested and swiftly removed. It was a full Brazilian. They were there, gone in one dramatic motion. And the big story today, Prince Harry has been making the rounds, giving interviews to promote his new book, Spare, which comes out tomorrow. In one interview, Harry described having to get approval from his family on whether or not he could have a beard for his own wedding. Have a look.
On stage, you know, you have to ask permission of the Queen to have a beard for your...
To keep the beard, yeah. Not have the beard, to keep the beard. And I would feel very, very different without my beard. And that's hard for people to understand who have never grown a beard. But hopefully those beard people out there will go, yeah, no, I fully get that. I can understand.
I love the turn to the camera as he addresses the bearded community. Do you know what I mean? I just imagine some guy at home watching this interview like, yeah, you tell him, H. In the same interview, Prince Harry also addressed losing his virginity in a field behind a pub.
You know, there's you losing your virginity, I think, you know...
Apparently,
sensitive viewers, turn away now.
It's 4 lines or something. I mean,
Right,
if
okay.
Only 4 lines. That's okay. It happens to a lot of guys the first time. It does. In a field behind a pub. That's one of those things that's worse than the sum of its parts. You can lose your virginity in a field or in a pub, right? Not great either way. In a field behind a pub, that's terrible, isn't it? Prince Harry also discussed using drugs in his younger years. Have a look.
There's a fair amount of drugs. Marijuana, magic mushrooms, cocaine. I mean, that's going to surprise people.
Marijuana, magic mushrooms and cocaine. Now, just for American ears, or in fact anybody with ears, cocaine is cocaine. I tell you what, the last place I'd want to be as a royal is high on mushrooms, is in the palace. Imagine being high on mushrooms, walking down a hallway, pictures of all your ancestors. Start talking to you, telling you where to go, what to do. And finally, a Japanese man whose dream was to, quote, look like a real wolf walking on hind legs has spent $18,000 on this custom-made, ultra-realistic costume in order to live out his fantasy. Here it is, here. Look at that. Now, on a dating profile, this would be called a red flag. Very exciting for the man. He said he wanted to use the costume to finally look like a real wolf on hind legs, and definitely not just to do weird sex stuff. That's the news. We'll be right back, everybody.